built
awfully
it
big
on
for.
top of a curtain rod, and I didn't know it was up there, and I pulled the curtain open or close. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
on the patio, and this fell off the top.
Huh.
Like this is from.
It is.
I know.
Either that, because it's so big, it could be a house sparrow too.
It was like
Really,
it
house
looks so
sparrows build
perfect.
nests?
They do.
They were cavity toys.
They are, but because of where it was, it could have been.
Okay.
But yeah, my guess would be a house finch.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What a find. All right.
Know too much about them other than.
Right, so are we ready, Kevin?
No.
All right, well, I'm gonna start anyway.
Okay.
And you can catch up. All right, so today we're here to talk about the birds we love to hate, and I'm gonna educate you on how extraordinary they are, and they deserve a little respect. All right?
That'll be a hard sell.
Yeah?
We're listening.
I knew it would be, hence the shirt, and I'm really glad I was hesitated to do this talk because I was afraid I was going to get a lot of heckling and tomato throwing and stuff like that, but so I'm really glad no one's brought produce. All right.
That you know of.
That I know of, yes. So this is what I want you guys to think about. All birds are living pieces of art. And that includes the 4 we're going to talk about today. And so this is my personal opinion about birds and conservation. The 4 birds that we're going to talk about, if you remember last month, we talked about urban birds. I avoided these birds because of this month. But these 4 birds are here, and they live with humans. They are very much urban birds. They are everything about an exploiter, that's what they are. And we are the reason that they are successful, okay? So keep that in mind, that I believe since we have encouraged them, either encouraged them to thrive or we have introduced them, since 2 of them are not native here, we have an obligation to learn about them and from them. Okay, that's 1. We also have an obligation to do all we can to limit their populations and keep them from taking over the world. Okay, because that's how good they are.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to present to you what I think are 4 very frustrating, extraordinary birds. So they're no different than, my son. All right.
Way to look at it.
Yes, they're just like children. So they share adaptations to living with people. That's what these 4 birds have in common. We're talking about the great-tailed grackle. We're talking about the European starling. We're talking about the white-winged dove. And we're talking about the rock dove, AKA pigeon. Okay? So they're tolerant of human behaviors. They have a very varied diet. They're flexible nesting choices, very social with their own species, numerous with ranges expanding, because they're all expanding, even though some of them are decreasing, and the numbers are going to surprise you. They're nimble, athletic, either on the ground or in flight, and all are exploiters of humans' environments. So if you look at the characteristics that these birds all have in common, they're kind of like us. I mean, if you think about it, these birds that are adapting to live with us, we're tolerant, okay? We have a varied diet. We're flexible in where we live and what we coexist in. We're social with our own kind, sometimes, and we're expanding. So those are traits that we share with these birds and that they share with each other. Yes?
Did you see the PBS pigeon special, The Pigeons of New York City?
Yes, I've watched it 4 times.
I thought
And
that was the most amazing adaptation story I've
The-
ever read.
yes, I have it as a source, a resource up here, and I watched it this morning.
What was it? The PBS what?
PBS Nature did a documentary. It's 53 minutes. It's called The Pigeon Hustle. And if you ever got 53 minutes that you don't know what to do with and you're holding your phone, hello, I mean, it's worth it. 60 Minutes also did a 12-minute blip on the pigeon mafia. And if you want to learn about people who really appreciate pigeons, pigeon racing, and how far you can take it to the other extreme, I don't know, if you're waiting to have your tires changed or whatever and you got 12 minutes and you're holding your phone, it's a great stream. I've watched that I don't know how many times. This morning was the last time. So, yeah, Pigeon Hustle is cool. And I'm really glad Nelson lived. Because I really worry about that when they name a bird. And then, okay, is it going to live or is it not going to live? So I almost want to know ahead of time so I can relax. But Nelson makes it.
You know, it's like the movies where there's a dog.
Yes.
The dog has, I
Yes.
don't care what happens to people.
It
the
has
dog
to live. Yes, absolutely. We're on the same page. So a spoiler alert, Nelson makes it through the 53 minutes. He's a pigeon they're following. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about the great-tailed grackle. So if you haven't seen this bird, usually you find it in parking lots or around parks or shopping centers or restaurants, you know, especially fast food where the trash is overflowing. The male is long-legged, slender black bird with a long V-shaped tail, flat-headed profile and a stout bill. Males are iridescent black with piercing yellow eyes. Often seen displaying an upright posture, the bill pointing up to the sky. This is signaling dominance to other males. I think it looks ridiculous, and I have seen more than one grackle get taken out by a Cooper's hawk because he's looking up, not behind him. So, just saying. Females are long-legged, slender brown birds with a flat-headed profile. Females are dark brown above, paler below, with buff-colored throat, stripe above the eye. So juveniles, that's how you're going to distinguish females from juveniles. Females are the brains, males are the brawn in this particular bird world, okay? It's very true, okay? So I don't know if I put it in here. Well, I'll tell you. The male birds are a third larger than the female birds, okay? So when they're growing up in the nest, more females survive than males. Why? Because it takes more to feed them because they're bigger. So the parents can provide for more female birds than male birds. So that has set up a very interesting social dynamic within the grackles family, which we're going to get to. So where is it? I can't read this. There we go. Great-tailed grackles eat plant matter year-round, including grains such as corn, oats, as well as fruit. It's important to remember what grackles eat because if you don't want them visiting your yard, you don't want to put that out. Okay? Just saying. In summer and early fall, animals make up half or more of their diet from insects, worms, snails, moths, grasshoppers, spiders, tadpoles, frogs, lizards, small snakes, fish, small rodents such as mice, shrews, bird eggs, and nestlings. That's one of their success stories, okay? Grackles have been known to pick insects out of the grills of cars. That's, to me, pretty cognitive nimbleness there, all right? They do prey on white-winged doves because white-winged doves do visit the area at the height of grackle predation. Females, this is where the brains come in, eat 80% of the animal matter. That's adult females. So the males are walking around in the grass with their heads up in the air, you know, trying to tell who's who, you know. That's part of what they're designed to do because it's territorial. And the females are sneaking around, okay, looking for that protein that they need. You got to watch the females, especially if you don't want them eating your house finches. Dominant males will mate with one or more social mates in their territory. Males have more than one territory or a very large one. All right, so females have a single social mate, but may entertain a male or two on the side. Because otherwise, you know, how do the young guys learn what to do, right? Females brood and feed chicks. The males have nothing to do with that. And the male defends the territory from intruders. The eggs are bright blue eggs, pale bluish gray with dark swirls and speckles. And we're going to talk about female birds next year. And the egg portion, it's fascinating. I mean, it's just a whole rabbit hole you could go down. But anyway, about their social group, okay? Because grackles have a predominantly more of a female population than a male population, how they have solved that is they have collective social groupings where one male will secure a territory. And if the female birds like him, they will nest in his territory. And he will protect them and their babies from other male intruders. Obviously, some slip by him, but that's what he's providing, and security, all right? But there's more than one, he has more than one mate.
Polygamy.
It works. They're highly successful. So it's working for them, but that's how they have solved the problem. Otherwise, if they did one-on-one, there'd be a whole lot of females, you know, not producing because there aren't enough males just because of the nature of the bird. I thought that was pretty ingenious. They're not harems, though. I mean, blackbirds, red-winged blackbirds, they have harems. Okay, yes. He is really big on collecting as many females as possible in a territory, and he, well, now we're off grackles, but anyway. Red-winged blackbirds, the male who's got the red epaulets, okay, he's in charge. And he goes around recruiting or acting really tough to attract younger red-winged blackbirds who have the yellow shoulder pads. All right, because how are they going to learn how to be a gang leader and have a harem if they don't observe and watch the behavior of the guy who's got the red shoulder pads? Because he's got the red shoulder pads for a reason. He's lived long enough. He's a big guy. He knows what to do, and he's got his girls, 5, 6, 7, 10, whatever they are, in his territory, and they work for him. I get a little on the side every now and then when he's not looking. But they work for him. They run all the other guys with the big red shoulder pads off of his territory, whatever that territory is. Grackles can have territories that overlap. Sometimes the male, if there's too many males in a nesting territory, the dominant male will kill the young males because he doesn't want the competition. So it's not like the hierarchy of a ring-winged blackbird. It's more of I don't want to say so it's just more of a social circle. Maybe gang-like in a way, but not to the extreme that the red-winged blackbirds are. And both birds, they're both black birds. They both fall into the category of the blackbird species, but they think that they operate slightly differently. there's enough females and males, so he doesn't have to hoard them in the red-winged blackbird family. The gray-tailed grackle has to hoard females because there's not enough males. So anyway, so they originated from the lowlands of Central and South America. The Aztecs, thank you very much, transported these birds to the highlands of the Valley of Mexico. Aztecs used their iridescent feathers for decorations and headdresses and necklaces. So they went down there, they said, oh, we really like these feathers, we're gonna raise them, then we're gonna pluck them. Grackles were referred to as raven crow in Spanish. 1936, the first documented arrival of the gray-tailed grackle in Arizona. They followed the Mexican agricultural corridors because they like grains. The Aztecs attached several spiritual meanings to the gray-tailed grackle. Vocal expression, obviously, because they're loud. Speaking your truth and owning your unique voice without fear. Adaptability, handle sudden life changes with high resilience. Hidden depth. Their iridescent feathers shift color in the light, reminding us that things and people are deeper than they first appear. So that's why they chose the feathers. That's what they attached to it when they were wearing the headdresses and the necklaces. That's pretty much, it's actually pretty cool and pretty much fits the bird. They're not popular in our backyards for one, customers tell us that they don't want them in their backyard because they're hunting their little house finches and little goldfinches, but mostly it's because they're loud. And they like to congregate in the winter months, not in the breeding months, in the winter months, in large groups of up to 200. And let's see. Come on, you can do better than that. That's only one. Here we go. Imagine 200 of those. All right, we're done. So you get the idea.
I couldn't hear what you said. What did you say about people don't like the grackles because they do what to the finches?
Yeah.
They eat them?
Yeah. So, okay, this is new. You guys, here I'm talking like I think you guys might know. So, sorry, forgive me. Female grackles, they have 80% protein need, okay? What they do is they will hunt small birds. Generally, either they pick the weak ones or the very young ones. And they behead them and take the brains either back to their nestlings, especially if she's got 2 boys that she's trying to raise, because she needs to get them fatten out really fast, or she's going to eat it herself. 9 out of 10 times it's a female that does that. 100% of the time, if you find a bird body and it doesn't have a head, somewhere along the line, a female grackle visited your yard. I've seen very little predation with male grackles, although I did save a house finch from a male grackle because that doesn't happen in my yard. We all get along in the wilds of my backyard. There is none of that. He probably eventually got her anyway, but at least I wasn't witnessing it, so which made me feel better. But so yeah, that's what they do, and they particularly the little. That's what I mean. She's got the brains. I would say 7 out of 10 times they drown them in bird baths. So they sneak up behind them. They'll drown the bird. Yeah, which is one of the reasons we do not have a bird bath out in front of our store. Yeah, because, well, we don't have very many grackles anymore. I don't know why. So I don't know what's changed or why the grackles have moved. But at one time, because I've been here 9 years, we did have quite a few grackles here. And we used to get so frustrated because they would pluck them off the feeder through the cage. And I'm like, I have words for them. And so the bird baths, they were very, very, very good at it. And it is horrible to watch. And so we took the bird bath away. Maybe that's why we don't have them anymore. We took their water source. They very much like to play in water. They like to play with their food in water. That's the way they want to hunt. That's what they'll do. So, yeah.
Well, those dirty little poopers.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun to watch if you look at it as a bird, because the female, I have watched females pick up, sticks. She will lay them out. So she's looking for the right one. So she'll pick up like 3 sticks. And I'm of the opinion that she can count to at least 3. So she's got 3 sticks there. She's picking out the one she wants. And then she'll fly off and she'll weave it into her nest, because they actually secure their nest by weaving it into the location that she's chosen. So they're not a dumb bird at all, but yeah, they can be pretty.
Years ago, we were feeding our big dog outside, and we had to bring the dog food inside because of the gackles.
Yeah, they do like pet food.
It was funny, because here's this big dog laying out in the sun early in the morning, and here's the gackles landing behind him, hopping over him and walking up to the dog food. He didn't care. So we just moved the dog food inside.
Yeah,
I didn't want it inside, but that's where it ended.
that's where it ended up. Yeah. All right. So that's one. Now we're going to move on to white-winged doves. We're all familiar with the white-winged dove. Now remember, they're all living pieces of art, right? Okay. Okay, so keep that in mind. So both the male and female look similar. They have a bright orange eye and a blue eyeliner. Medium-sized dove with a small head and a short, square-tipped tail. I want you to look at the bill. It's smaller than most doves, and it's kind of curved, and so is their head kind of small. That's important to note. It's because they have, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, but there's a reason why they've evolved for that. They're pale brown overall with a white stripe along the wing, becomes a white patch on the inner wing in flight. Males choose the territories. Males will bring sticks to the female, and she will build the nest. 2 white eggs per brood. High predation on nestlings and eggs. Part of it's because of the grackles. All right, cool facts about these birds. In our Sonoran Desert, white-winged doves eat mostly the nectar, pollen, fruit, and seeds of the saguaro cactus. That is the whole reason their head and bill is shaped the way it's shaped, okay? They're so dependent on the saguaro, these birds time their migration and nesting to match the cactus fruiting schedule. So with seed dispersal, we would not have our Sonoran Desert if we did not have the white-winged dove. Short distance migrators, without the white-winged dove, I just said that, okay. We would not have the Sonoran Desert. They're agile, nimble, athletic, with the skill to scale to the tops of saguaros to gather nectar and fruit. A very good problem solver. Why are they a good problem solver? For one, they got to climb a cactus. For 2, they migrate. So that already gives them an edge up on your average mourning dove, okay? Their small bill, they can't eat large seeds. They like small seeds. Okay, small seeds within the cactus. Yeah. So like, they're not going to be the ones that will probably, they might eat sunflower chips, but they're not going to eat the sunflower seed. That's kind of too big. That's uncomfortable for them. So they're looking for smaller bits and pieces. More stuff. All right. Doves and pigeons have some unusual abilities, such as they can suck up and swallow water without moving their heads. Then it has to tilt its head back to swallow. They don't have to do that. They can, it's like a straw, okay? They can suck up the water. They use a secretion from the esophagus known as crop milk to feed their nestlings. They also can hold up 100, doves in general can hold 174, I don't know what to call them, little bits of seed. So if they ate 174 sunflower chips, that's how wide their crop can get, which is a sac outside of the esophagus, alongside the esophagus. They will stop eating 48 hours before their babies hatch. Now, how they know this, I do not know. But 48 hours beforehand, so that they can start secreting milk, creating the secretions to create the milk. These birds swallow small pebbles and snail shells to help their bodies digest food and create the crop milk. Human expansion has greatly affected the white-winged dove's range. It is expanding. It's the second most hunted bird in the U.S., so those of you who don't like it, there's payback there. In various cultures, the bird symbolizes peace, which I find that rather ironic because it's the second most hunted bird in the U.S. Yes, doves generally symbolize peace, purity, and love, and new beginnings. I feel so sorry for the white-winged dove. The dove's population dropped from 12 million to fewer than 1 million by 1939. It's due to hunting. Better management of hunting and the bird's ability to adapt to urban living has helped the population to rebound to 2.2 million by 2001, excuse me. So you guys, some of you who have white-winged dove issues might think you have the whole 2.2 million in your backyard, but you don't. But they're a really cool bird. They are a cool bird, and if you appreciate the desert, we wouldn't have them without them. So they do not like to eat on the ground. They don't. So we're going to talk about that and how to have fewer of them. They would, because they're used to getting their food on cactuses and in cactuses, so they like to be up off the ground to forage and eat. All right, here we go. Go ahead, moan. I want to hear it moan. Go ahead, because I know we have a love-hate relationship with this bird, right? We're going to be happy. European starling. So the males and females are both black, have a chunky body, a short tail. This bird has a long, slender bill beak, because that word can be interchangeable. In flight, their wings are short and pointed, and when they're flying, they look like little torpedoes, like someone just shot them right out of a cannon. Breeding adults are dark overall with a purplish green iridescent feathers and a yellow bill. Strong flyers, the ability to fly 48 miles an hour. Starlings forage in lawns, fields, and other open areas with short vegetation. So what does that say? Yards, hello. They're insect eaters for the most part. They avoid large, unbroken areas of forest, chaparral, or desert. So hello, have we not just created a total wonderful human environment for them to live in? And they have a very strong jaws. They're mandibles. So what they do in the grass is they poke their bill in and then they open it. And they're looking for invertebrates, grubs, or any other bug that they can get out of the grass. I don't know, baby roaches, whatever could be in the overwatered grass that you see in the park with irrigations and things like that. Yeah. My husband actually likes starlings because we have grass and he thinks that they're eating all the bugs. But actually what they're doing is eating the baby caterpillars that my butterflies have laid in the grass. So anyway, like I said, we have a love-hate relationship with this bird. These birds use their bill and strong jaw muscles I just said that, to search for insects and vertebrates in the soil. Let's move on. All right. So this is cool. So that is a fledgling. It has just come out of the nest. It looks like that. So I think they're pretty cute. And then you have one who's probably closer to a year, and then you have an adult right there. So during breeding season, starlings' bills turn yellow, and that is done by hormones. See, I think this is so cool. So when you see like the ruddy duck that's got a blue bill and blue feet and things like that, so my question is, how does it know to turn its bill blue or its beak yellow for spring? Well, it's hormonal. And they actually start the hormonal changes in November, both waterfowl and starlings, to get the color just right so they can get the right mate. These bird species that have been displaced by the starling's aggression at nest sites are the Gila woodpecker, tree swallows, great crested flycatcher, northern flicker, American kestrel, and there's more. Okay, there's more.
Is the starling a native bird, or did that get imported?
The starling is invasive. It's not native. Yeah. But it's on the fence. So whether they're, I'm getting ahead of myself. Males choose the nest site. They're cavity nesters. They don't build their cavities, so they usurp cavities from other birds or a woodpecker. 10 to 25 feet off the ground, typically in a building or other structures such as streetlights, traffic signal supports, burrows, cliffs, or old woodpecker cavities. The male builds the nest. Both sexes incubate the eggs. I found that interesting because that's rare in passerines. Starlings have a varied diet, which does include insects, fruit, berries, grains, seeds, nectar, and garbage. A flock of starlings is called a murmuration, and the spiritual meaning of a starling is unity. Again, irony. Irony just screams.
Do the females look the same as the males?
Yes. All right, so here we go. That's their range.
Except that little, is that a lake? The Great Lake?
The Great Salt Lake.
Yeah, okay.
So starlings are incredible mimics. An adult may be able to mimic up to 20 different species, such as the red-tailed hawk, American robin, killdeer, meadowlarks, Gila woodpecker, and the northern flicker, to name a few. So this is how we got the European starling. So in 1871, the American Acclimation Society, incorporated in New York, and this was a society that decided that North America's flora and fauna was boring. So they wanted to introduce other interesting species and be more global because, you know, we've benefited from other vegetables and other such foreign imported plants and things. Why not try birds, right? So that was their goal. And they wanted things that may be useful or interesting, and it was interpreted very broadly. So it took a while, But in 1890, with the love of Shakespeare in his heart, Eugene Shefflin released 80 European starlings from England in New York's Central Park. It was a cold and snowy day in March. So he loved Shakespeare, and the starling is mentioned in King Henry VIII's play, I guess. And he thought, wouldn't that be wonderful if we could import some of Shakespeare's birds into, you know, the U.S., right? Yeah. And some people say he was brilliant, other people say he was a lunatic. So it depends on where he lands, right? So all European starlings in North America can be traced back to one of these original 80 birds through DNA testing, all right? Now, this is the third time he tried it. Now, imagine back in the late 1800s, the cost of having to ship birds out here via boat and then releasing them. I don't know, but he was obsessed with it, and these took. He didn't need any more. There are 93 million European starlings in US and Canada as of 2023. That's a decrease of 50% between 1966 and 2023. So think about it. Think about its range. Think about how many starlings are here. Think about that decrease and who they live with. They live with us. They wouldn't exist without us. And they're declining, and we haven't even done anything yet. So just making you think. European starlings influence about 27 native populations. Only sapsuckers showed declines directly linked to European starlings. So that's why they're on the fence. They're just like they're invasive. They know they're invasive. They're not protected by the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of, 1910, I think? Either 1910, 1908, somewhere in there. They're not protected. So in other words, if you have European starlings nesting in your yard, you can you can destroy the nest, okay? Just saying you can, and by law, that's legal. But they're still on the fence. It's the same with the lovebirds. Last month when we were talking about lovebirds, I was asked whether are they considered invasive or not. Well, because they haven't tipped the scale. They haven't knocked a native bird in Arizona off, they haven't caused them to decline. Well, they can't, I don't know how well they're studying the European starling, but it hasn't been determined that it is the cause of any particular bird's decline, except it's making it difficult for sapsuckers to find cavitings, because that's a woodpecker. It's probably more East Coast than West Coast. Now, I know Gila woodpeckers don't like European starlings, but they will back off of European starlings. They don't know what to do. I mean, Gila woodpecker, I don't think they're that aggressive, really, by nature. I mean, they're a woodpecker. Woodpeckers are assertive, but I have seen them back away from northern flickers, and so they do back away from European starlings. So they can give up territory and space to the starling. Did I cover everything? I did. All right. I want you to remember what the starling eats. All right. Now, the reason we're all here, right? Okay, so the rock dove, AKA pigeon. You're going to fall in love, I'm telling you. All right, so it's in the family of Columbidae. All doves and pigeons fall under that family. They're all very similar, all right? And there's a lot of them. And I'm not going to get ahead of myself. It's a plump bird with small head, straight, thin bill. The plumage is variable, but most common form has a gray back, 2 black bars in the wings, a blue-gray head, may also be seen plain, spotted, pale, or rusty red. In flight, note black wing bars and broad black band at tip of tail. So rock-winged doves exhibit social monogamy. So they mate for life until death do us part, long-term bonds. Courtship involves bowing, cooing, feather fluffing, strutting, mutual preening, beak touching. You name it, it's included in their dancing. It's all included in what that guy's gonna do. Kissing, they even kiss at the end. When they've decided that it's a good match, they kiss. Yes?
Because yesterday I saw two pigeons. They looked like they were kissing because I just saw two pigeons. They're like pecking. I don't know, at their faces or something. I was like,
Yeah.
are they making out? What's
Yes,
happening?
they are. They are, yes. We could take dating tips from the pigeon. They're really good at it.
Not a witness to that.
Their nest can be a nook, cranny, or a ledge on either cliffs or man-made structures, often beneath eaves or an overhang, also in abandoned buildings or rain gutters and stairwells. None of that really sounds natural. 2 eggs each. It takes both parents to raise even one chick, and that's true for all doves, okay? All doves takes 2 parents. They all lay 2 eggs per brood, and it takes 2 parents to raise 2 chicks. If they lose a chick, it still takes 2 parents to raise that 1 chick. If they lose a parent, the nest fails. All right, more cool facts and more. All right, the male brings nest material to the female if they're making a nest. Sometimes she chooses not to. These birds will reuse nests many times. Male incubates the eggs from mid-morning to late afternoon. They have a schedule. Isn't this cool? Female will incubate the eggs from late afternoon to overnight to mid-morning. Rock doves are able to find their way home even if released from a distance blindfolded. Rock doves are able to learn to count to 9 accurately 100% of the time. Any pigeon off the street can be taught to learn to count to 9. And it's not just recognizing the number, it's recognizing the quantity, which means it has to count to 9 before it can get its treat and tap on the number 9. Okay, so think about it. They are able to navigate by the stars, sun placement, Earth's magnetic field, and by sight, sound, or smell, or all of it, all the above. When a rock dove, I thought this was so cool. When a rock doves land, 1 foot touches the ground and stabilizes the bird before the other foot hits the ground. For an individual bird, it is always the same foot. You know what that means. As in humans, the right is typically dominant and the smaller percentage of birds are left-footed. So they have a dominant side. Come on, that's pretty cool. So now, hey, yeah, now these are things when you're out there, now you don't say, oh, stupid pigeon. You cannot say a stupid pigeon because they're not stupid. They're incredibly smart, okay? I want a bird brain. I'm telling you, their memories are amazing, and I could use that.
Are these what racing pigeons are developed from? This particular bird?
Yes, all racing pigeons. Well, we have exaggerated in racing pigeons now, just like with race horses, the best of the pigeon's abilities to home. But yes, this is natural, innate in rock doves, aka feral pigeons. Yeah. I'm just like, I almost fell out of my chair. I couldn't believe it. I think I was reading it to Kevin, and we both almost fell out of our chairs. Oh, by the way, I have to say that the pictures of the pigeons are Kevin's. So I want to give him credit. All right. So now we're going to talk about how we got the pigeon. So rock doves are originally from parts of Europe, Africa, and Asia. And these birds inhabit coastal cliffs, rocky outcrops, and sea caves. Hence why they like flat buildings. E- Egyptian hieroglyphics suggest that the rock doves were domesticated more than 5,000 years ago. So that's written, obviously, but they actually think that we were living in caves with the pigeon. They actually think that you can go back 10 to 12,000 years of us living side by side with a bird, whether we officially domesticated it or not. So these birds have a long history with humans. Humans initially selected these birds for various reasons, including food communications as carrier pigeons, and sport, leading the creation of over 350 recognized domestic breeds. Introduced to North America by the early European settlers in the 1600s, because we hadn't discovered the chicken yet. Okay, no, it's true. So we domesticated the pigeon, and it's still, to make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself, it's still a delicacy in the areas where it originates. Squab is a delicacy. It's still on the menu. You can order it. My husband has eaten it. He says it's good. Ugh. But anyway, it's like a dark meat. It's like a dark meat, okay? He'll eat anything anyway, kind of like a grackle. But I forgot where I was going with it. I got sidetracked. So the chicken is a jungle fowl, which we originally domesticated from jungle fowl. So when we started traveling and trading to where the jungles are, jungles of Africa, jungles of South America, wherever, I haven't done my research on where the chicken originated, but I know it's jungle fowl. Then we got the chicken over here. We started domesticating it. Americans, okay, Americans in North America decided that they liked chicken better than rock dove. So what do you do if you've got all these rock doves that you have, you know, carried across the Atlantic Ocean? What do you do with them? You let them go, which is what they did, and they raised chickens instead. So it's a cultural thing as far as the taste of the meat. But anyway, yeah, I'm with you on the squab.
When I was in Egypt, that every house you could see in apartments had cages where they
Yeah. I'm sure they're
used
using that.
pigeons,
Yes.
and they eat it a lot.
Yes, yes,
It was like,
yes, yes, yeah.
I didn't think it was very good.
No.
I think I was thinking of the little bird instead for some
Yeah, I have a hard time. If it, okay, so my saying, this is me, okay, just me. If it doesn't come from Fry's grocer, freezer, I'm not eating it, okay? I don't eat zoo animals. I do not eat wild animals that I'm gonna stumble onto. I do not eat the pigeon on the street. I just don't. It's, if I can't buy it at the Fry's grocery store, it's not going in my mouth. Europe and other countries still enjoy squab as a delicacy. Pigeon racing is very big business. It's larger money amounts invested in this bird than in thoroughbred horse racing. I'm telling you, that 12-minute episode on 60 Minutes is completely fascinating. Lots of money involved.
what was that called?
Pigeon Mafia. Pigeon Mafia, but you just like search on YouTube 60 Minutes and then Pigeon Mafia. Yeah, yeah. Actually, you don't have to memorize it. It's on the back of the newsletter. Yes. I think I even got the episodes. I did my homework.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it's totally cool. Okay, so the North American population declined 46% between 1966 and 2015. 7% of the global population resides in Canada and the United States. And if I did my math right, that's 9,800,000 pigeons.
Okay, you've had two birds declining same years in there. Does this have anything to do with the lead
It could.
bullets in what people were hunting birds with?
No, because these are prey birds. So, well, the pigeon's a prey bird, so it's going to die from being shot before it's going to die from lead poisoning. So, but the lead poisoning's affecting the raptors, the birds of prey. All right. So I have all these tips, all these cool things about pigeons. So pigeons are able to drink up to 5% of its own body weight daily. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Pigeon Military Service, all right? So there used to be what was called the Signal Pigeon Corps, all right? World War I, World War II, and the Korean War. Actually, they used pigeons. I was reading this morning because I get obsessive. I was reading this morning, and even in the early 1800s, 1700s, they were using pigeons as messengers back and forth, okay? It was discontinued in 1957, the Pigeon Corps. But pigeons carried orders, reports, and other messages because telephone and telegraph radio were unreliable. Okay. 442 pigeons carried 403 messages over distance up to 32 miles without a lost dispatch.
How do they know where to go?
Because they train them to go home.
Oh,
And so what it is that their home was wherever the headquarters was. Yes.
okay.
So actually okay, so is anyone, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but there's a movie that shows exactly how the pigeons are used. It's totally awesome. It's got Rick Schroeder in it. Okay, so here's some famous ones. Yes, yes, I'm a whole lot more organized than I was last month. G.I. Joe, the pigeon, flew 20 miles in 20 minutes. 20 miles in 20 minutes to prevent a friendly fire attack in Italy during World War II. All right. President Wilson, another pigeon, flew through heavy fire over 25 miles in 25 minutes, so we know how fast they can fly, despite severe wounds, loss of leg, and a chest wound. So they've saved thousands of lives. I think there's 43 pigeons that have received Medal of Valor for their service. 43. And then there's Cherie Ami, yeah. In 1918, World War I, is credited with carrying a message from the surrounding Lost Battalion and saving those lives. Actually, it's 32. I got it right here. 32 pigeons were awarded medals for valor during our wars, the wars I mentioned, World War I, World II, and Korea. The Lost Battalion is an awesome World War I movie. It's got Rick Schroeder in it. It starts from the beginning of him enlisting all the way through to them finding the Lost Battalion, because they literally were lost in the, I'm off topic again, in France, and they were surrounded by the Germans. And they had, I think, 2 pigeons. They show you the pigeons. They show the person who's the Pigeon Corps Seagull guy who's responsible for the pigeons. And then one pigeon was killed, so they had to send the second pigeon out, and the second pigeon got through and saved. Anyway, it's an awesome movie, just totally awesome. I like a good war flick. All right. So ironically, the rock dove's spiritual meaning is peace, since we've immersed it into war.
Change from rock dove to pigeon.
Well, pigeon, if a rock dove is out in the wild, being a wild rock dove, it's referred to as a rock dove. Pigeon is the feral name. So you would have to say feral rock dove or pigeon. Pigeon just, that's
Rock
the,
dove make it sound like a much nicer bird.
well, that's the whole reason I'm using it, okay? Pigeon sounds like something stuck to your bottom of your shoe, right? Yeah. So I'm trying really hard here to send some love out there. All right. Okay. Here's something. I don't know what book I read it in, but recently I read in a book, maybe it was a magazine, but it was recent, that China has a pigeon signal corps. So what do they know that we don't know? Just thinking, send us conspiracy theorists out there. Yeah,
Well, if you
they do.
disrupt all the electronics, you still
Yes.
have pigeons.
Yes, but are they planning it or are they just anticipating it?
Yes.
Yes, yes. See, that was where I was going because I can totally get into that. But yes, they are. They do. They have and they're very much into pigeon racing. And when you watch that 60-minute episode, you'll see they're the reason that it's escalating in price, dollars.
I would think that a pigeon core might end up being cheaper than a signal core just because of the cost of electronics.
Well, I don't know how, because I don't know how much.
You can
that-
feed the
'cause-
pigeons all
Yeah,
kinds
yes.
of stuff.
Yeah, but you have to train them, and you have like, at the time that I don't know what they did with these pigeons, but at the height of the pigeon corps, they had 54,000 pigeons. That's got to cost some money to care for now, and clean up after, and attend to, and train all those people. And you have to find people who like pigeons, and, birds, and all that. Kevin would be right in there. But yeah, so I really think it's more of the lines of what if they satellite, what if there's something, electronic disruption. Yeah, there's a series of books out there where that just happens. I wish I knew the name of it. My husband read the books and now I can't think of the names. All right, so why do we hate these birds? We hate these birds because they're tolerant of human behaviors. We can't scare them away. They have a very varied diet, so we can't really control what they eat. Flexible nesting choices, they're everywhere. Very social with their own species, so there's a lot of them. Numerous, expanding ranges. Nimble, athletic, either on the ground or in flight. All are explorers of the human environment. The whole reason that they are living with us is the reasons we don't like them. You see that? Again, irony. This whole talk is very ironic. So note, a disproportionate number of urban birds have big brains. That is, the size of the brain in relation to the body is larger in urban birds than in similar birds who do not take up residence in urban areas. That is a fact. Larger brain size allows for adaptability, innovation, plasticity of behavior required in city birds. They are studying pigeons because pigeons, their brain, okay, due to the size of the bird, they have a smaller brain, but they really don't. They have a larger brain based on the size of the bird because it's got all those little nuances, those crevices in the brain, which is actually what makes all the neurons click and everything, and intelligence, the more swirls and grooves you have. They are studying the pigeon for AI.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Hey. I thought that was pretty cool. And then there's starlings. Here's something I didn't mention with starlings, but starlings have more taste buds than the average songbird. I don't really know how many, but they do, which helps with their varied diet. But they are studying the taste of the starlings, what they like, what they don't like. So a starling can taste bitter, sour, sweet, salt, and they have preferences. Starlings are plentiful. They raise well in a research environment. I don't know why they're studying this, but they're studying the bird in taste. And males have different tastes, preferences than females do. I don't know if that's going to help us or the bird world. I don't know. But yeah, pretty cool, huh? Still makes you not want them on your suet feeder. All right. So, put the joy back in bird feeding. So I have some ways that we can make us happy and not have these. So keep under the feeders as clean as possible. I can't stress that enough. I mean, that includes sweeping up the waste as well as trying to make sure that there's as little seed as possible underneath your feeders. Now, I know it's hot. I know we don't want to do that, but if you want fewer of these ground feeders, such as pigeons, white-winged doves aren't necessarily, they're foraging, they're under there, but they're not necessarily getting anything. But your pigeons are, and that's one of the keys to keeping them from spending a lot of time in your yard. Plus, when they poo, they make a mess, and you got to clean that up. That's a note. I do have that, so I haven't forgotten. I'm just saving it to the end. Put a cage around it so you can exclude them. So we have all sorts of cages. So this is for cylinder feeders. So one of the first things you can do is feed with cylinders. Okay? They're more economical. They're less messy, less seed actually falls on the ground, and we have ways to keep pigeons and doves off of your cylinder feeders. This is a 2-inch square grid. Most of the birds you want to feed, including the Gila woodpecker, can actually fit through this. Your mourning doves, your pigeons, they can't get through that. They're,
They do try though.
yes, but they know they can't fit. That's kind of entertaining, don't
They wait,
Yeah,
they
they
wait
do.
for the seed to fall.
they wait for it to fall on the bottom, yes. You can actually use, since it doesn't come with a tray, you can actually use a plant tray. You know those plastic plant trays that you can buy like at Ace Hardware for 89 cents, 99 cents?
The biggest aluminum pie pans are just almost as big as those. I have a feeder or two covered with that. And they do not like those aluminum pie pans.
No, they probably make a noise that they don't like.
Well, they try it once or twice and then they quit. We also ended up having to wrap a plastic hardware cloth with 1/4-inch holes, 1/2-inch holes, all the way around the bottoms, because pigeons are not dumb. And they would two of them would get together and land on one side, tip the whole feeder, and all the seed falls on the ground.
Well, because that's where they want to be. Yeah, yeah.
So we had to make it harder for them to tip the feeder. Oh yeah, we've had, between the gackles that jumped over the dog and the pigeons that have learned and the pigeons that have learned to tip and they're tipping the cage, which tips the feeder.
Yeah.
I mean, at some
It's
point
like-
in time, I just gave up, but.
Yeah, like the Gila woodpecker that tips the nectar into its
those
mouth.
are so
Yes, sir.
I was just gonna say, the lid to a 5-gallon bucket is almost perfect to put under one of those.
Yeah,
And so we
Yeah.
usually will poke holes in it, put some zip ties on it, you can just attach it.
yeah.
And you can take them off if you want, if you wanna clean it or whatever, and tip it upside down and it won't,
Yeah.
it won't fall off.
So you can cage perch feeders. So we have them, so we actually have them displayed. So you can do this. That keeps them out. And we have 2 sizes. The smaller one has the tray. The other one has a wire, so you can let the seed fall to the bottom. An upside down feeder. So remember I said that starlings like suet. So if you want to feed suet cakes, okay, you like to feed suet cakes, but you don't want to feed the starlings, you can go to an upside down feeder because they can't do this. All right? They might try, but they can't. They can't do for any length of time. Also,
Explain that one to me again.
it's an upside down feeder, so I'm sorry, I didn't show you the upside down. So
Oh, you put the suet block.
you put this, yes, yes, yes.
Woodpeckers do that then?
Yes, they can. The woodpeckers are amazing, but yeah. So it all depends on what you're putting that suet cake out for. But a lot of your smaller birds, like your house finches, your house sparrows, your woodpeckers, can clean that way. The starlings don't want to, because remember, starlings are really ground birds. The reason they go to suet is why? They like grains. They like the texture, they like the taste, it's fat. It's sometimes the suets, and it's designed this way to emulate what insects taste like. So texture and grubs, things that they like. So, because usually suet is for insect eaters, generally speaking. supply less favorable foods. So choosing your seeds. Starlings also don't like safflower. They're not fond of sunflower seeds. They're not. I find it hard to work on a cylinder, especially if it's a no-mess cylinder, something that's really strongly compacted. That's a hard cylinder because their bill can't do it. White-winged doves you're going to find under the Niger feeder or on the perch feeder. Oh my God. But they will get up there. Why? It's a small seed. And they don't need to unshell it because they can swallow it and digest it. That's what's amazing about doves is that if they can fit it in their mouth and they're comfortable, they're going to swallow it. And especially with pigeons, pigeons have evolved with us so much that they have their digestive tract has evolved to be able to extract nutrients out of fast food. So they can make it healthy. They can make a French fry healthy for them. I mean, I want that ability. And yes. So starlings cannot and can't open the safflower. So, and they might, if they could, they wouldn't like the taste because it's bitter. But lovebirds like it. But it's hard-shelled things they can't get to. Raise the feeder or the bird bath. So placement's important. So sometimes raising it, if your feeder is 5 feet off the ground, raise it to 7 feet. Or if it's 6 feet off the ground, raise it to 8 feet. So you can, my feeders are 8 feet off the ground. And only those birds that are willing to fly 8 feet up in the air get on that feeder. So that's just how I looked at it. And white-winged doves don't even get on my feeder. Now, if I had a perch feeder, because I used to have a perch finch feeder, and those silly things can straddle it and do twister and then spin around on it. So I went to a mesh feeder, and they don't get on it. So you can either cage it or you can change the feeder altogether, how you're going to do that. But you have to decide with a mesh feeder if you're willing to have them on the ground. So again, you can use weather guards or baffles. Now the baffles I'm talking about overhead. So you can use those to protect your feeder. Sometimes a weather guard or a baffle just keeps the birds from staying on top of the cage. Because if they can get on top of the cage, then, you know, they can figure out how to get their head through the hole, and then, yes. So, yeah, we've all watched it. Remove a feeder or two until the nuisance birds disperse. You can do that. So I had a wonderful lady come in last week, wonderful lady. She was a fountain of information because she was doing everything not correct. But I loved her because she was so willing to share that. She loved her lovebirds. And she came in, but she had pigeons. And so she wanted to get rid of the pigeons and keep the lovebirds. Obviously, everybody wants that, right? It's like, yes. Well, you can minimize it. And then you can minimize it to the point where everybody's happy. So you got to get to a point where you can live with it. So first rule, pigeons do not need you to feed them. Okay, they don't need food. They have lived, what, 5,000 years with us and have not required us to feed them. So they don't require us to feed them now. So if you love to ground feed, that more power to you. But if you're going to throw that seed out there, we don't want to think that we're urbanized, but, you know, Gilbert Mesa, we're kind of urbanized, and the pigeons are here. But she was buying her seed off of Amazon. She was doing, she could get 3 socks for, I think, $10. And I have no idea what was in those socks, but she was hanging these seed socks up for the lovebirds. Lovebirds don't do seed socks. What do? They're going to tear it open. And what's going to fall on the ground? the seed, right? What are you going to get? Lovebirds don't eat on the ground. You're going to get pigeons. So yeah, so we had a conversation. And hopefully, but what I told her was she needed to minimize. She needed to pull in her feeders, put fewer out there, and put in the correct ones that are going to keep your lovebirds happy, but minimize the other birds you're attracting. Yes.
After a lot of trial and error, we found some socks that the lovebirds use and they can't tear holes in them. I don't know, not even sure what the socks are, but they're tough. They're tough enough to where they can't poke holes in it, but you can still pull the seed through.
Pull the seed out?
Without it ending up on the ground. So for now, let's see how long it lasts.
You have to be also concerned, 2 reasons, about what seed you're providing and buying. Because your average songbird isn't stupid. We've already talked about the bird brain, okay? They're not dumb. They know what they want to eat. We have conditioned them in many ways to come to our feeders, and they are expecting a certain amount of nutritional value and flavor out of that feeder, okay? So if they're not getting it, what are they going to do with it? They're going to throw it on the ground, and who's going to eat it? Right, because that's what pigeons do. So, if you, being a responsible backyard bird feeder requires you to put a little, and I'm saying you, and I say we, I mean collectively as a community, put a little thought into what you're providing. And right now, the birds, we like to say that we're just supplemental feeding them, but I don't believe that anymore. I believe that birds, this is my opinion now, okay, and I know where I work, so I'm aware of how this, but I believe that we have conditioned a lot of our urban birds, if not a lot of the adapters, to come to our feeders and get nutrition. So they are basing where they nest, where they live, based on what's provided for them. And I think they include natural foods that they forage for and our feeders. So you want to make sure that what you're putting in there is at least giving them something, because the whole idea about bird feeding is to enjoy them and to continue the relationship with nature and to have healthy birds, right? I mean, even if I have a pigeon, I want a healthy pigeon, okay? That's just how I look at it. And my 6 pigeons are healthy. So, for the most part. And I don't feed them anymore. So, those are some of the things that you can do. So when I talk about removing a feeder, I would never tell a customer unless it was absolute last resort to take down all the feeders, because I understand that I believe there are birds that are depending on those feeders. But you can pull back. You do notice ebbs and flows in your feeding. And the less that's available, it's the less that's available for those nuisance birds. And sometimes you can just overdo it, and it's okay to change it up. And feel free to do that thoughtfully. So as you're going through this change and dealing with the birds that you're trying not to feed and waiting for them to respond to what you're trying to do, you can give them their own feeder, but who would want to give a pigeon their own feeder? That would not be a good idea, especially since I just told you that they don't need them. They don't need us to feed them. But you could give. No, we don't want to feed starlings either. So like with woodpeckers, that's one of the things that people don't want woodpeckers on their hummingbird feeders. That is one thing that we suggest. We'll just give them their own. So you can give them their own, like use an Oriole feeder and let them suck nectar out of that. Or you can put up a suet feeder and they'll go to that. Or you can put up a half an orange, because I'm telling you, Gila woodpeckers will choose a half an orange over a hummingbird feeder any day of the week. And my Gila woodpecker, if he was here, he would tell you that. So you can use feeders as distractions.
So what kind of a feeder are you putting the half an orange on?
I'm not, I'm sticking it in a tree. Like the tree branches that come together, I just stick it in the fork of a tree right there. I have for 8 years. And every bird nibbles on those oranges. And the woodpeckers are really cute because they eat it in halves. So they eat it in sections, one section at a time. And he brings all his kids and his wife. I mean, I don't know if it's the same woodpecker, but I've watched the same behavior over and over again. As a matter of fact, if I'm late, the guy that I got now, I think it's the same one I've had for 3 years, taps on my bedroom window because he wants it out there. I've shared this before. He wants it out there as soon as he arrives.
We don't mind him getting in our hummingbird
He
feeder 'cause
doesn't-
it's right outside our bedroom window, we get to see it up close.
Yeah. I don't mind him on my hummingbird feeder either, but some people do. They only have only a few options, and the woodpecker is not what they want to feed. But while you're going through this adjustment and the birds are adjusting, be patient. I know it's really hard. We all want change immediately. I mean, we do, and I'm just as bad as the rest of you. I'm just as human as anybody else. Be realistic in your expectations. So if you have 20 pigeons, but you can get it down to 8 pigeons, that might be really good. I don't know if you could get much better than that. Okay,
Sounds good, because I had 45 pigeons on
So-
my roof this morning.
we'll stop counting. That will relieve some of your stress right there. So that would be my first tip.
What I think has happened is that the bird feeders that used to be other places in our neighborhood the people have moved or whatever, and so because I'm still putting feeders out, and they're on the ground underneath them, that they've all moved into my yard. And I'm
Yeah,
just-
but are they actually getting something?
They're getting a little bit as the smaller birds drop food, so clearly I need to put trays under my feeders.
So, okay, so I have heard, I've read that you can put those large clay pots that you put plants in underneath feeders, and that the seed will drop into there, and that only one pigeon can fit in there at a time. So that will, because, well, the idea behind that is that pigeons won't go in something that's over their head. Because they're smarter than the average dove, they want to be able to see behind them and to escape, right? But, you know, you could get a dumb pigeon that ends up in there. I mean, I don't think there are I don't know. I mean, I have to generalize. I have to leave it out there because what if you guys get the one pigeon that goes into the pot? So I have to cover all my bases, right? But I have heard, I have given that suggestion. People have come back and said, yes, it does work. And some people have come back and said, well, no, the doves will go in. So it won't work with doves. But it is a way to at least contain the seed in some sort of attractive way to keep it off the ground. So it's at least easier to throw out or recycle or do whatever you're going to do with it. So, and smile because you're feeding the birds, right? All right, so I do have to say this because I would be remiss if I didn't, and I do see your hand up there. 10 reasons to watch pigeons. You knew you weren't going to get away. What was your question?
Well, you were talking about keeping the food off the ground, which we were doing, and then I started to notice in 30-some years, for the first time, we have quail coming into our yard. And so then I thought, oh, we have to have a quail blocker. And so, but the good thing, and we do have a lot of pigeons, but I do notice two things that are interesting that surprise me. The quail are little dynamos. They will just run everybody off and
Yeah.
try to eat, and then that's it. But the pigeons have gathered in pretty big numbers, while their quail are not there.
Yeah.
That's kinda good, kinda, you know.
There are goods and bads to quail blocks and feeding on the ground. I prefer to do a loose seed if I was going to feed quail because I can broadcast it. I'm in control of it. The quail will eat and go. Pigeons eat and stay. So, and as long as you're providing it and that block is sitting out there, they're going to stay. And what also stays with pigeons is their waste. So, yeah. Yeah. But 10 reasons to watch pigeons. And guess what? You can't even walk away from it because it's in your bag. So it's free. Pigeons are easy to find, especially in urban areas, so you don't have to go very far to find one to watch it. Pigeons are gentle and safe to watch as long as you watch out for their poop. I mean, they're not going to, this morning we were talking about mockingbirds. They're not going to fly at you. They're not going to, squawk at you. They do strange and wonderful things, and I shared some of the wonderful things that they do. And so now that you're aware of the wonderful things that they do, you can actually watch them do it. And know that that is unique to them. They will impress you with their dating techniques. So if you want tips, watch a pigeon. a male pigeon. He's going to woo his girl. Pigeons are food for many birds of prey. So who knows who you might see looking for a meal. I was seen at the riparian because that's actually what I do on Sunday mornings, is I'm always at the riparian with my kids. And every now and then I will sit and I will watch the pigeons because they have a lot of them because people feed the ducks inappropriately. So that's why the pigeons are there. But I started watching them and I watched them and a Cooper's hawk came in and got one. And how often do you get to see that? I'm like, okay, extract myself from the violence, but it was pretty cool. I mean, in that situation, I know that's the circle of life, but in my yard, the circle of life is a little different. Pigeons come in a variety of colors, patterns, and plumages. One of the books that is actually on the back of that we recommend reading for in the newsletter talks about the genetics, and Charles Darwin actually studied pigeons to learn about evolution and genetics and diversity. And he was a pigeon lover. He raised them. But she talks about the different patterns and how you get them. And so you can actually, once you read the book, you can actually look at a pigeon and know some of its genetics, its diversity, how it got. Oh, well, that took a striped and a dotted one to get this one. So that, hey, mental exercise. Imagine what pigeons could share about our human world if they spoke human. Because, pigeons, birds in general, all right? This is true, birds in general, what adult birds know when they have the babies, a lot of it is passed down to them. So those babies grow up, come out knowing, okay, I have some knowledge of what my parents know, and then they observationally learn, right? So imagine all the knowledge that's been passed down to our street pigeons from other pigeons about living with us for, let's just even say 5,000 years. Pretty cool if they could repeat that history. It'd be better than the History Channel. Rescue pigeons make great pets. They even sell diapers for pigeons. They sell harnesses for pigeons. There are people who have pigeons as pets. Yes. And it's a hard world. So sometimes you just need to look at a soft bird. Just for a moment, right? I can't take credit for that. That's Rosemary Moscow, who wrote the book, The Guide to Pigeon Watching.
Is that on your?
It's on my list.
Okay.
Yes, and it's to be in my resources. So pigeons from around the world. So the Columbidae, there are 352 species of pigeons and doves, 13 extinct species, geez. On every continent except Antarctica, the passenger pigeon once one of the most abundant birds in North America, now extinct. So the passenger pigeon is the one top right, okay? Left? No, it's right.
Left for us.
Oh, okay. I'm doing my hand, all right.
The one that looks like a robin?
Yes, the one that looks stuffed, yes, because it is. The Nicobar pigeon, colorful island species, the closest living relative of the extinct dodo. Its feathering kind of looks very similar to our feral pigeon. But that one's right there. Then you have the Victoria crown pigeon, largest species known for its striking blue crest. The Phoenix Zoo has these. And then one that's in North America, the band-tailed pigeon, a forest dweller in North America. And who knew that?
He's actually kind of handsome.
Yes. All right. So these are my resources. There's a lot of books up there. There's a lot of books on pigeons. I do need to say to you, though, that city pigeons can carry rare fungal and bacterial diseases. I'm not even going to say the names, but there's 3 of them. All right. All of these illnesses typically spread when people breathe in dust from dried droppings. So it's another reason to keep it clean. All right. Public health risk is low. People with weak immune systems face higher risk. So in other words, if we're going to bird feed responsibly, part of that is cleanliness. And I cannot stress that enough.
I was gonna say, stepping on the pigeon feces too, if you're barefoot, you can get sick.
Does
from
it
that.
come in?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Wow.
Well, don't walk barefoot through that.
Well, kids. The kids.
Yes, kids. Well, we scrub our sidewalk sometimes twice a day to make sure that it's not tracked anywhere. And I also want to point out that we didn't have pigeons till they built those apartments. Remember, I've been here like since, I don't know, the earth began. I've been at this store. I've been here a long time, and I watched those apartments go up. We didn't have any pigeon traffic until those apartments went up. And what do those apartments have?
Garbage.
Flat roofs.
I noticed about that with, just the different types of birds we've seen over the past 30-plus years in our yard, how much it has changed. And now it's more like starlings, pigeons, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today, where we didn't used to see that. But I noticed also so many of the native trees are gone, and when they're being replaced, they're putting in non-native stuff. And I think that the loss of native trees is huge for
Yeah. So sometimes, like if, okay, so like if you didn't have pigeons, or if you didn't have, well, pigeons in general, if you didn't have them and you have them now, sometimes you have to look at what's happening in your neighborhood.
Right.
You know, did a big box store go in? You know, yeah, what's happening? That's really it. That's all I got. Yeah, I'm going to go home and take a nap. So I want to go through what's in your bag really fast. So you do have a newsletter, okay? Cool information on the back. Recommended reading. There's a lot of books up there. You have in here tips on recycling, because that's part of keeping this space clean, right? And a pigeon card, because who doesn't need a pigeon card? And then the samples today are Feather Pro, which is our seed we're still promoting, and bark butter bits and mealworms. Because who's going to eat those bark butter bits and mealworms are your insect eaters, and we talked about 2 of them. So if you want to feed the grackles, that's something good to feed. The Feather Pro does not have millet in it. So if you want to discourage ground feeding birds, you got to stop the millet. You just got to stop, because your birds that are coming to your perch feeders or your other feeders, they don't want millet. And that's the first thing they're going to toss. So that's it. That's all I got. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know, did I go further than an hour? I don't know what time it is. I'm sorry, I went that long. It was a lot of information. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I appreciate you sitting for all that. I got more. There you go.